Good morning and welcome along to our usual weekly live stream from Burnley. Thank you to everyone who's waiting along this morning. It's great to see a few of you waiting before we start. I hope you're all well. I hope you've had a good week and I hope you're keeping well this morning. We are cracking on with Burnley today. It's episode 5 of the Youth Academy Challenge, and for the next couple of hours we're going to be playing through the winter period and the transfer window, which is where we've started today. So thank you everyone for coming along. It's good to see a couple of the regulars here. Please do come and get involved down in the chat if you're able to. L Gaming, welcome along. Good to have you here as usual. I do appreciate you coming along. I've got an answer to your commentary question this week as well, which I'll get to shortly. But thank you to everyone else that's here. We've loved the last few weeks. We've just had loads of football chat down in the comments. So please do get involved and talk to me about Burnley, because there's going to be a lot of transfer specials today. There's going to be a lot of decisions to be made. And we're starting to get a little bit closer to what we want, which is a full homegrown squad. From where we left it last week, morning Tom as well, thanks for coming along. From where we left it last week, where after half a season, we still had largely the team that we had in the head coach. We've now got to the stage where we're pretty much half and half on the homegrown front. We're trying to add one more 18-year-old who we'll have a look at in a second. And we're just starting to get rid of a few of the squad players who don't qualify. So Trevor O'Callaghan, Craig Robinson, Glen Stevens we've tried to sell but it's rejected. And Jamie Higgins is in that group as well. So hopefully as we go along, we'll be able to get a few more out of the club and start to build and trust these youngsters a bit. We want all of the players here to be either homegrown or to qualify in the future after 3 years in England. And they need to be homegrown at Burnley. So let me know what you think of the decisions as we go along. But thank you to everyone who is here this morning already. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't yet, please pop a thumbs up on it. And let's get involved. There's plenty of football this week to talk about as well, but we'll get to that shortly. Let me show you the one player who's potentially coming in before we head into the Stoke game today. We're coming on exactly where we left off, but those 3 days in between, I've been busy in the transfer window. So firstly, I've been trying to sell a few more of the squad players. Glen Stevens and Jamie Higgins both wanted, but no real concrete offers yet. I've had to delay the one for Tom Ritchie because of the injury to Summerskill right at the end of last week's episode. And unfortunately, that means that we need to have a backup here. So we're still going to play Grondona as first choice, even though he's not quite as good, because he will qualify as homegrown after his 3 years. And he's a Wonderkid from Argentina. You've got to have a South American Wonderkid. The more English people you get in the bigger European squad is absolutely correct. So homegrown players at the club and in Europe, and ones who are under 21 in particular, in England, sorry, not Europe, that are under 21, don't have to be contributed. So until the age of 21, we don't need them. But obviously with the European squad, we're not then going to be signing players to replace them. So unless it's people like Grondona and Fabio, who are 18 and are going to become homegrown, they will need spaces in the squad. But I'm keen not to have a massive squad of 30 or 40, because I want there to be a path for the homegrown ones. So Nathan Mullen is the man we've put in a bid for. He's going to be basically replacing those that are going. So Craig Robinson, we've accepted 3 offers of just under £1 million. He's out of contract at the end of the year, won't sign a new one. He's been a decent servant, to be honest. He's been a good backup since he came in, and we're making a profit on him as well. Glen Stevens, a rejected offer of 3.1 million. I can't remember if that was us or him that rejected it. I think it might have been us based on his value. And then Trevor O'Callaghan, 2 offers for him, both around 2 million with a big sell-on clause. He's rated so well by the coaches still, sorry. Nearly said director of football there. He's rated so well by the coaches and the assistants still. As good as Balogun, better than Lowry, and he just hasn't got the attributes. He hasn't got the mentality, and when he's played, he hasn't scored many goals. It really is a bit of a bizarre one. We've had a few offers for Balogun, but they're only around 30-35 million. And to be honest, unless we get 50 or 60, he's not going during a season. We might sell him at the end of the year. We've got to by the end of the second at the very latest. Because of course he's not one of the homegrown ones. But we'll wait and see how that goes. Tom, what part of Argentina is Grondona from? Let me give you an answer to that. George Grondona is from Valentin Alsina. Can't say I've heard of that place. What about you? I know you've jet-setted around there. Let's have a look at the one player that we're bringing in. That man is Nathan Mullen at 18. 3.3 million from Hearts, a Scottish under-20 international. He looks so good. I mean, the scouts have got him down as massive potential. 5-star, Wonderkid type player. Really good vision, good on the ball for a youngster. Probably just the physical side that's got to catch up a bit. So we'll wait and see if that occurs. But as it stands at the moment, He's got a lot of qualities I like, and traits as well. Getting into the opposition area, trying to score goals. Good long shot on him too, which we know is important. And he's got a wealth of experience at 18. He's playing for Hearts, 24 league appearances. That's not something you often get in a kid. So let me know what you think of all of that work so far. And of course, we got plenty to do. El Gaming, yes, made more than a value when he's going to be out of contract. Exactly. So when he's going out of contract, we're going to lose him for nothing. And to be honest, considering our director of football a couple of years back got him for $500,000, it's a good deal. The cricket starts tomorrow. Yes, Tom will be a fan of that as well. I'm not sure about the first test because the England squad, obviously missing the skipper's not going to help. We've never seen Ben Stokes captain, even really at county level. So it's hard to see what that's going to be like. I was a bit surprised by the spinner selection. Don Bess ahead of Leach and Moeen Ali. But otherwise, it's a pretty good squad. Have they announced what seamers are going to be playing yet? Because obviously, normally there's always one or two out injured. But because they haven't played for 3 months, no one's been injured. So they've got Anderson, Broad, Archer, Wokes and Markwood, who was a brilliant bowler but always had problems with injuries. So I'd like to see him get a chance if the squad hasn't been announced. Or the 11, sorry. But let's get into our first game with Stoke while we do that. And then we'll get involved with the chat and we'll answer questions as the game's going. We've got the Australian who's ineligible at the moment. So we forgot to sign him on $8,000 a week with the Brexit that's happened in game. And of course, he's only been here 2 weeks. He won't sign a new one yet. So for a couple of months, we haven't got a left back better that can come into the first team. But Burnley are heavy favourites. Don't forget, we were on a cracking run last time out. And we finished with a brilliant win at Chelsea. After what was a disappointing episode the week before. So in the Premier League, we're now up in that European place contention. It's us, Leeds, Leicester or Chelsea for 6th place basically. We're still in the FA Cup. We got embarrassed in the Carabao Cup earlier in the season. And I think we've got our strongest 11 today. Is there anyone missing? Not in that 11. The one issue is now we've got 2 games a week. Bonner's struggling for fitness. Furlong might have to come in for one soon. But there's the 11 we've gone for. Grondona, Bonner, Simpson, Flauhout and Wardley. Torres, Robinson, Xavier and Edmonds. And then Harrott and Balogun up front. So when we go to the first game, a few homegrown ones there and a few more on the bench too. The Scottish player looks good. Yes, he does. He's going to be a cracking signing if we can get him. Though they've only announced the squad, not the team yet. You say you'd have Archer, Broad and Wood. I'd definitely have Jimmy Anderson in. In English conditions, he will be a troublemaker to say the least. Live in the flesh, he's a brilliant bowler. I'd probably go for Wood and Archer, to be honest. Broad's... don't know. He has moments of brilliance, but he's not quite as consistent as he was. And he's the man who's probably most likely to break down with injury at present. I think we all know that Wokes at the moment, a bit out of form, is probably a backup for now. And obviously Bairstow didn't make it into the squad either, so that's a bit of an interesting week for England. Looks like they're focusing on actually having a dedicated test team, which isn't going to feature many of the stars. So the likes of Bairstow and Ali haven't been able to force their way back in. And that suggests to me, especially if they do the same with like a Broad or maybe even an Archer or a Wood, to say you're going to be limited overs only. That perhaps is a way forward for England to have a dedicated test team. Those who aren't going to be the glamorous stars but are always going to shine with the test batsmen. Like Alistair Cook did, to be honest. So we've got the early possession here with Burnley. And we're moving forward. I promise we will talk about football at some point. If there's anything you've had over the last week, then let me know. Thank you to everyone who's joining along as well. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. I know, as we say every week, Tuesday morning, not the ideal time. But I do appreciate so many of you coming along. Even if you're just watching in the background, it does make a difference. So thank you very much. Let's crack on here. We've got Bonner grabbed in possession. We mentioned him being tired, and it's sort of showing early on there. Carrillo beats his man into the box. Thankfully drags his shot wide to the post. Otherwise, we could have been in trouble there. I'm just keeping up with the chat on the phone because it's not always great on the PC. But with 10 minutes gone, after good form in the last episode, there's some worrying signs here. We haven't had a shot on target yet. We haven't really had any work at all. So we're going to demand a bit more. The lads are focused. Had a bit more possession, but nothing really to show for it. But here's Flauhout on halfway. Out to the left to Edmonds. To the byline. Got to cross. Does to Torres and heads into the empty net. The Burnley run continues and it looks like we are moving up towards the Champions League places. Say it quietly. Did I know Broad is with one of the Saturdays? I didn't, mate. As you know, celebrity culture isn't my thing. So I would not be knowing that sort of information. But good on him. If he's happy, then that's all that matters, isn't it? And especially if they're both happy together, who cares? Instagram surprise. Again, not my cup of tea, social media, so no Instagram stories for me. In the Ashes, I thought personally Ali was poor. Yeah, he was. He was off form last year. But coming back after a break, getting himself right mentally, I would have thought he would have been involved. Because I still believe he is our best bowler, our best spin bowler when he's fully fit. He's been brilliant in a couple of the games we've been to. I think it was Pakistan we went to watch 3 or 4 years ago. Tom will correct me if I'm wrong. We went in Manchester. It was that game because I remember it was when I was on crutches and I was absolutely sweating because they cordoned all the roads off around the ground. But he bowled really well in that one. And England were dominant as a result. He bowled well in a couple of the World Cup games. Are we going to get a penalty there? Oh, I thought we were. But it's still 1-0 and Stoke are bringing it out. What's the answer to your question? So commentary lines. I'm a little bit annoyed at myself that I didn't think of this one, obviously. Now, it's not a live commentary line, so you're not going to probably appreciate the answer being fair. But in 2009-10, I was a person growing up as a youngster and as a teenager who couldn't afford Sky Sports, couldn't afford the paid channels. So my choice was like the Europa League on ITV and Channel 5 and Soccer Saturday, because Sky Sports News used to be on Freeview back then. And of course my favourite line is probably one of the most famous ones, because I was actually watching it live and remembered it, and it has to be the Chris Kamara with the Anthony Vanden ball red card. Has to be. It was just an unbelievable few minutes of TV, and I've been so distracted that I've got to 10 minutes from the end and haven't made my subs. So Ossie Robinson replaced by Jack Vaughan, Harrett's going to be replaced by Richards, and Lowry's going to replace Sunday Balogun. We're only 1-0 up, it's a slender lead. Although we have dominated, we haven't made it count. So we need to make sure we hold on here. Thank you for everyone joining along again. I do appreciate it. If you haven't yet, do chuck a thumbs up on it. And do get involved down in the chat. I know normally we get a bit busy around 11 o'clock when we move on later in the morning. I don't blame you having a lie-in. But we've won 1-0. We've held on in the end. I mean, my grammar's all over the place this morning. I'm switching the tenses up. It's all going pear-shaped. But we did well. We've won 1-0. We've kept the long unbeaten run going. It'll probably end at United at the weekend. But as it stands, we're right on their tails in 6th place, which is an incredible achievement at this stage. We didn't expect that, particularly after our poor start. And we're now 5 clear of Leeds, 7 of Leicester, and 9 of Chelsea. So let's see if after the full midweek fixture list, we're still in that position. We'll run through the press conference very quickly. And we've had our offer accepted for Mullen. Wow. I mean, we said Mullen was a good player. Look at the wage he wanted there. It was like $4,000 a week. We don't want to loan him out. You're going to be in the first team squad. And we can't loan him out because it will affect the homegrown rules. He needs to be at the club the full 3 years. So Neil Dewsnip's recommended 2.5. That is so harsh, Neil. I mean, come on. Give him a bit of leeway. He's a brilliant player. 24 grand there. We'll just try and edge them all down a bit. I do negotiate quite a bit, probably more than most YouTubers I've seen, to be fair. So let me know how you play the game. Do you do the same? Do you negotiate all the way? Because that's always been the way I've worked. Oh, no. Oh, he's rejected us. We better hope that changes before the end of the window. I've just seen the scout report down the bottom. He wants 10 grand according to that. Imagine if I'd offered him the deal that Neil suggested. Well, that's a bad start, isn't it? Let's see if we get him at some stage, but doesn't look like it's going to be now. One that might have got away there. What about the Curran brothers? Yeah, I mean, what was the question to the answer to the question again? I said the Chris Kamara moment on Soccer Saturday because I never got the chance to watch sort of like live football really growing up, bar BBC and free-to-air ones. But Sky Sports News used to be on Freeview, and Chris Kamara's one was absolutely brilliant. That Anthony Vanden ball red cards. I'm sure you've probably seen it. It's a very famous clip now. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. So in answer to the Currans, I mean, Tom said he likes Sam Curran. Good to have a left-hander in the attack and does well with a bat 8. I agree. Tom Curran is more probably of a short-form bowler. So I've seen him probably most in the Big Bash in Australia, because that's on early in the mornings. So Monday and Tuesday where I'm working afternoons, or Saturday and Sunday I can watch all the games. And when I've seen him there, he's been largely brilliant. We've got an offer for Rob Simpson, which is getting categorically rejected. And Harrett's got another wage rise. Don't know how many of them he's got in his contract. So yeah, I think Sam Curran will break into the test team before too long. But Tom probably more in the shorter forms initially. Me and my mate are taking part in an online FM Super League. Would you like to take part in it? Potentially, yeah. As long as I can find time for it, I wouldn't have a problem. I was sort of thinking of opening this sort of thing up later on down the line, so let me know what you think of it. I was going to plan as doing sort of fantasy drafts with people who watch the channel, with subscribers, and just putting them on the channel, particularly in that sort of Sunday slot eventually. I don't have any FM videos on Sunday at the minute, so that sort of seemed like a sensible idea to me moving forward. But yeah, as long as I've got time to. The only difficulty at the moment is work, because unfortunately, although things are looking more positive than they were, it's very difficult to predict what the next few months are going to be like in the NHS. If it all goes pear-shaped again, I'll probably have to stop streaming, I'll probably have to reduce the cricket videos, and I'll probably have to go back to the 6 FM videos a week and nothing else. But if we keep going on this way, I'd like this to increase and grow more and more as we go along. We've had nice little growth for subscribers on both channels recently. We've been able to bring cricket back, and we've been able to start streaming. So as long as I can keep doing things like that, I haven't got a problem at all. We're going to give Rob Simpson a new long-term deal to keep him happy. I'll send you the link on Twitter, thank you. Also, yeah, I do the negotiations, but sometimes it gets annoying. It does. It gets really frustrating at times. You've got to have a lot of patience to do it. And that's why the head coach works well as one of my stories, because it means that you don't have that time between games where you're doing all the negotiating and the changes. So at Dorking, I'm negotiating with every staff member, every player, every scout report I'm looking through. I'm doing all of those things. And if you had 2 saves like that, it's just so time consuming. So for us, for one of them, we just leave the head coach, let him do what he wants. And with the Youth Academy Challenge, bar the first year where we're trying to sign under 18s, it's largely the same. After that, you're relying on your players and just trying to get rid of the deadwood or the players that aren't going to feature. So there are positives to these sorts of saves, definitely. And of course, the head coach, we've potentially got a big move coming up in the next week. We've got a big Champions League game today. It's likely to be our last season at Gladbach. So 4:30 today, I think we're into our last week of episodes with them. And in the summer, will be next Tuesday, and we'll be looking for a job. So, I mean, next Tuesday could be a bumper episode on the channel. And to go with a live stream as well could be a cracking day. City have won 5-0 against Brentford. Phil Foden's still going. World class at 29. Absolutely incredible. And we've got Millwall at home in the 4th round of the FA Cup. Interesting. Let's have a look. Do we think all 5 subs are here to stay? I don't know, actually. I'm really a little bit puzzled by it. I've got mixed feelings on it. Some of the games I've watched, it's been important. And some of the games I've watched, I've thought, do we really need that, to be brutally honest? Particularly the way they're spread out. But I guess you're never going to change the time wasting subs and things like that. Of course, there was the confusion in the Luton Leeds game caused by the commentator, who didn't remember that half-time wasn't one of them. But yeah, I mean, when Luton were losing 5-0 to Reading, you wish there were 11, didn't you? But who knows? I think 5 subs is probably more likely to stay than the drinks breaks and things like that. Although, I tell you what, actually thinking of that, am I inclined to say that the drinks break is more likely to stay in top European leagues, and that will become an automatic 1 minute with an advert break? Because, I mean, we're going towards the way of American sports and commercialism, aren't we? So, I'd argue that's probably more likely, thinking about it, actually. What do you think? And also isn't going to start for a while anyway. Good, yeah. I mean, now would be difficult, but a bit later on in the summer, hopefully. I'd have no problem with being involved for a little while if I can. O'Callaghan's future still unknown. He's rejected 2 offers away. Considering he's that desperate to leave, he's not really going that far to get out, is it? I mean, Newcastle and Nottingham Forest are 2 very good clubs. So I'm not sure why he hasn't gone to one of them. Have we got any more deals? We're waiting for a couple to go. We're trying desperately to get them out of the club. Glen Stevens no longer wanted. So let's try and offer him out. It's much harder than we think to get rid of some of these homegrown players. Of course, some of them, the director of football had given big deals to, because he was planning for us to be in a normal save. He didn't know all this was going to happen. And Trevor O'Callaghan, we'll have to offer him out now as well. He's another one. He's got a couple of years on his deal, but he's not worth much money. So let's not make that specified. And we'll ask for a 50% sell-on for him. We'll get that fixed in, and that probably means we won't get any offers. But let's skip ahead anyway. Nearly at the United game, 2nd in the morning. Can we win again? Who knows? No, I don't want to add the drinks break, but I'm just sort of suggesting it's probably the most likely thing. Also, I made you a Discord server. I'm going to have a look at it. I'm sure I remembered seeing something about it last week, and I clicked it wasn't there. I will probably have to look at it in the next few weeks, because a few people have asked now, actually. So I need to learn how to use it. I've got a week off next week, so I'll learn how to use it, and then we'll try and get one created for the summer then. Drinks breaks are basically... Well, that's it, isn't it, Tom? Drinks breaks have basically become a mini coaching session. They're no longer drinks breaks. It's just a minute where they take a drink for 5 seconds, which most players did in the sideline when there were injuries, whatever, anyway. Now it's just been used as a 30-second tactical timeout, like we have in the T20 cricket. So there are some moral issues with that. If you just say it's going to be at the quarter mark, you get a 1 minute timeout, then fine. And we'll have an advert break and we'll all get used to it. But making out like it's a drinks break, there was one game the other night, I can't remember where it was. It was about 10 degrees. The subs were wrapped up in blankets and woolly hats, and then they're doing a drinks break. I mean, it doesn't really work in that sense, does it? So we've got offers from Colorado and LA Galaxy, but there's no sell-on clause for O'Callaghan. So let's make sure we get that in. And hopefully... No, Colorado have walked away, so it looks like O'Callaghan's here to stay. Will LA Galaxy accept the 50% sell-on? Probably not, is the answer. But let's see how it goes. Nope, they don't want it either. So he's going to be staying for a while. Jay Winslade, the left back, he's gone back to Villa. So that means the contract for the youngsters even more important now. We'll see if that happens soon, as we play Manchester United in the next game this morning. Thank you to those joining along again. Good to see more of you coming in. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. You wouldn't want the ads. No, none of us want the ads, but... The thing we have to bear in mind is, I guess not so much for the Premier League, but for the Football League and for other leagues in Europe, is they're losing millions and millions from the pre-agreed TV deals, from season tickets, whatever. For them, if they can get an extra 2 minutes of adverts at times where they know fans will be watching, then that's going to probably make up most of the deficit they've lost. And for the people like Sky and BT and Amazon, for them... that's the only reason they would pay the same amount of money next time, because they're not going to get the same value, so they would have to pay the same amount of money and get more adverts and more revenue coming in for it. So whether that'll work or not, we don't know. But I've got a feeling that the next TV deal will see a quite sharp decrease in the amount of money in the English game, which is something that's desperately needed, to be honest. I think, as we go into United, I'm going for the same 18 again, because we're doing really well. Why change a winning team? We said it the whole of last episode, or the last stream last week, so why would we? Who's your favourite cricketer? Oh, mine is a very easy answer, and Tom will probably know it. Mine is MS Dhoni. I absolutely love that man. From watching the IPL for 12 years, he's just the coolest man under pressure. He comes in as the finisher, needing 50 off 20 or 60 off 30, and does it in different situations as well. He knows when to go one a ball. He knows when to go for sixes. And he so often gets it right. I've never seen someone in that role so consistent. And like everyone's panicking in the commentary box in the stand. Why is he going at one a ball when they need 70 off 30? And then suddenly he'll get 20 off and over and the run rate will be down. So MS Dhoni for me is the absolute star. He's definitely my favourite cricketer. Yeah, absolutely. I need to know the Discord. I will do a little bit of research before I start, because I don't want to go in completely blind. But I will certainly need help from some of my regulars as I come into it. The more time Mikel Arteta gets to talk to the team, the better. Well, that's the thing for Arsenal. They've probably been one of the teams that have benefited from it. Because I guess the Arsenal, there's a lot of probably naive or young, inexperienced players in there at the minute. And a few who are lacking in confidence, who need coaching. And of course, it's a completely new tactical style under Arteta. So for him to be able to spot things in 20 minutes and correct them without having to wait to half time is huge. And to be honest, here, we're doing all right against United. So we'll keep positive on that front. Who opens a big patch for the purple team? The two openers for Hobart Hurricanes, you saying, are Matthew Wade and Darcy Short. Darcy Short is the more glamorous one, so I'm guessing that's who you're going for. And he's got a knack of taking wickets in a big bash as well, to be fair to him. He's not really a spinner. He reminds me a bit of like probably an Ashley Giles or someone like that. Just the classic slow armour. But he takes wickets and he scores big runs. I think the second year maybe I watched it, he just scored about 600. It's the year that Hobart got to the final or semi-final. And him and Wade just scored runs galore. I think they weren't bad last year either. Torres in behind. We're causing problems to United here, you know. Chelsea, who we beat last time out, are losing to Watford as well. Matty Wade as well. I mean, what a player he is, by the way. I mean, he came into the test team, didn't he, for England, for the Ashes in England for a couple of the tests. I think he got a century in one of them, but he's such a good batsman. Really good wicket keeper. The only thing there is because he's the skipper, he's a little bit hot-headed. Tom Arteta speaks to players in 3 different languages, apparently. Coach Maitland-Niles against Traore. I mean, he strikes me as a really good coach. My worry is, as he's got the big people in the dressing room, is can he keep command in that respect? But my argument would be Arsenal should be looking to do something similar to what I'm doing here, because they've probably got 6 or 7 players homegrown at the club towards a world-class team. And I know it would be another year of pain, but I guess if you're in the Europa League or Europa League 2 next year, that would actually be perfect for the club. Because those 7 or 8 could play together in all 10 or 12 of those games and get a proper season, a proper competition of experience under their belts. They then get 3 or 4 more in the Carabao Cup, depending on the draw. It could be crucial for Arsenal, that. And I know people snub their noses at the Europa League and what's going to be the Europa Conference now. But that could be so important for Arsenal next season. I'm thinking, like, you've got United have gone ahead. We're going to have to make changes here. They don't deserve that either. We've probably been on a par with them. Stats are pretty even. But you've probably got Saka, obviously, is the big one at the moment, has now signed his new deal. You've got Reece Nelson, you've got Martinelli, who signed a new deal as well. You've got Nketiah up top. You've got Rob Holding coming back from injury. I know he came from Bolton, but a centre-half. Maitland-Niles, you mentioned, is a good player too. Hopefully he'd get a chance in his actual position then. I mean, Martinez has been there years in goal. He's starting to impress now, having come in. We're pushing Lowry further forward on the right-hand side. Vaughan's going to come on for Robinson. I just can't get someone playing well in the Mazzala role. And Harrott replaced by Richards again. Let's see if we can get an equaliser. But yeah, that Arsenal young team, and there's a few a bit further down as well. Is Balogun one of them, the 17-year-old? And Tyrese someone. John Jules, I think. But they've got some really good players in that youth team. Wrexham have released most of their good players. To be honest, it's going to be largely, for most National League teams, it will be largely financial at this stage. I think you've seen even probably, I can't remember what team I saw. It was a League 2 team. And they'd released, it might have been Stevenage, and they'd released all bar 6 or 7 players. And there were a couple that have released probably 4 or 5 more than they would normally. What you've got to bear in mind next season, probably from League 1 down, or the middle of League 1 down, because I'm excluding the likes of Sunderland, Pompey, Ipswich. Pompey staying in League 1 again, by the way. Is that, let me go attacking very quickly into stoppage time, is that most of those clubs are probably going to have to gamble a bit more on inexperience. So those players, the journeymen at 30, they were bringing in on £1,000 a week to be good in the dressing room. Where they had 5 or 6 of those before, they might keep 2 or 3. And then they'll probably try and get 2 or 3 youngsters out of a Premier League or Championship academy, or take an extra punt on someone who's been scoring goals in non-league, or playing well in a defence in non-league. Torres has picked up a 2 to 3 week injury. So for teams in League 2 and the National League, that's probably going to halve their wage bill over a season. If they do that in 5 or 6 backup positions, rather than having an experienced player, take a gamble on a youngster. And if they get a couple who are versatile, then, to be honest, that pays off. And that's what experienced players are going to survive out of this, is the ones who are versatile. Tom, I think he's got the most out of the team behind him, and he's been hard on the dissenters. Jeez, that's a hard word for me to say. Well, Guendouzi, I've been telling you all season, is the wrong attitude for that club. I mean, the fact that he just dives around all the time really annoys me. So I'm glad that they've seen the light with Guendouzi. I know he's a very talented young player, and if he sorts his attitude or matures, he will become a star. But I don't think Arsenal can afford to wait for that, especially considering how many other young players are in the dressing room who are probably a bit impressionable to personality. So we need to be a bit careful with that. So I would say probably sell Guendouzi. Ozil is just someone to take the wages, isn't it? Even if they can loan him out and get half the wage to like an MLS side or something. But then will Ozil want to go? Craig Robinson's on his way to Barnsley. A superstar side from our FM19 head coach, of course. Jamie Higgins. Someone's come in for 10% of the wages. I can't give him away for that. 20%. Oh, that's pushing it. No, there's other clubs interested. I'm not doing that. 20% up. Anyone available for the under-20s? We might as well put some of these youngsters in. So Callahan can go in there. Whitehouse, Andy May. Oh, Andy May's missed out there. Rod Coleman. Thank you to everyone getting involved in the chat. Thank you to everyone who's joining along this morning. If you haven't yet, please do put a thumbs up on it. I really do appreciate it. As we're just moving towards our third game of the morning. We'll do a little roundup in a minute. I like Saka at Arsenal and Pepe. Yeah, to be fair, Pepe started to come good now. I think probably he's one of those who in his second season will be a lot better. And the youth and exuberance in the team seems to have benefited him. Where he's had players in there earlier in the year, like Ozil, who are slowing the tempo, doesn't really suit Pepe. Torres John Jules, was on loan at Lincoln. That's where I'd seen him. Saka in the Euro squad can play 4 positions. It's too early to predict that, to be honest. We've got a year's time. There's no saying that, unfortunately, any player at Arsenal could be injured because Arsenal have the worst injury record alongside United of any team ever. I do think a few will break through next year and that we'll end up with a younger squad. The only issue is, don't forget at international level, there's not really going to be any competitive football. It's the couple of Nations League games, but there's not going to be qualifiers or anything. So, although how will that work? Because there's the World Cup in 22. So will they then bring the World Cup qualifiers forward? I don't know. But as it stands, there's not due to be many competitive international games. And then does Southgate have to go with those who he trusts or those that he knows? But I think probably of the youngsters in the Premier League, Saka and Greenwood at the moment look the two most likely. I think Declan Rice will be close enough. Oh, you're taking the mick out of me, are you, in the comments? The nickname Pompey, yeah, it's one of the best in the English game. It's a lovely ground, Fratton Park as well. And me and Tom will tell you there's a couple of fantastic Indian restaurants around there. Oh, you do speak Welsh? Yes, so Tom needs to give me a bit of background there because he's making me seem completely lacking in culture. So our trip to Cardiff for the first away game of the season with Luton in August is the first time I'd left England. And at that point, as I've got another offer for O'Callaghan to deal with, I'm going to get that sell-on clause in there. And I'll keep persisting until someone gives me it. But yeah, it was the first time I'd been out of England. So obviously seeing road signs in 2 languages was absolutely bizarre to me. But we got used to it. We had a good time. We did a cultural walking tour, which was good. I'd never done one of them before. I got very involved in the food culture. I had plenty of Welsh cakes. So, yeah, love Cardiff. I'm happy to go back there again. We've got to tick off Swansea and Newport when we can go back again anyway. How about Curtis Jones? Yeah, he's a good player. I think the problem with Curtis Jones, and I'd include Nico Williams in that as well at Liverpool, is that, we've got a job interview at Chelsea. If only this was a journeyman. Hopefully they'll offer us a job in the head coach, because they're struggling in that one as well. We're not selling Rob Simpson. But yeah, Curtis Jones and Nico Williams, they'll probably get a bit less game time. And the reason for that is obviously Liverpool are going to be in the Champions League. So only the Carabao and FA Cup, because there's obviously Europa League football for Arsenal, or possibly, which will benefit them. And the same possibly for United as well. We've got interest from an 18-year-old Tunisian there. When's his birthday? June. So we could sign him, but he's a number 10. And my heart's set on Mullen, so we're going to wait for him. So yeah, I think it'll come a bit too soon for Jones and Williams, who are a bit less far down the line in their development, despite being a bit older in one case. Torres on the right-hand side is going to be replaced by Vaughan. And I think that's going to be the only change we make. Onto the bench will come Glen Stevens, because he's the only one fit. That the weekend will bring Whitehouse in. But that's it, the same side apart from that. I know we lost against United, but we played well. And the lads are match fit. And I tell you what, Callum Bonner's personality's just gone through the roof. That is exactly what we want to see. If we can keep improving personalities, then we're going to have a very good season here. I'd like to replace Ossie Robinson ideally. Do I bring Phil Richards in? I'm trying to look. What other positions can we play? Could we get in a box-to-box midfielder, perhaps? I don't know what to play him as. Or do we just have 2 deep line playmakers? Is it going to make that much of a difference? I've not tried it before. Let's give it a go. In we go. Although, do I change the tactic when we're winning every game? It is a very dangerous thing to do. That's a good question. Do you speak more Welsh than English? There's a lot of different words between the two. That's interesting. The minute you're out of Wales, you can speak a secret language. Oh, look, Tom, there's another one I forgot to mention that might do well at Arsenal. I don't think he's quite going to make it, but Emil Smith-Rowe. He's had a really good spell at Huddersfield under the Cowleys, so... Martin Odegaard's up there as well. He's another one of the famed Wonderkids in world football, but just sort of fell away. Picked the wrong move in going to Real Madrid. He's done well out on loan in Spain, though. I am going to put Richards back for now, just because the tactics worked, and I don't want to mess with that balance. So let's get into the first half. It's Burnley v Leicester. Leicester in 8th place, just 6 points behind us. So this is crucial, really. I'm losing a mouse mat if you can hear squeaking in the background, but we've sorted that out. And it's all Leicester so far. I don't want to go on another one of those poor runs. Surely one narrow defeat to United can't cause that. Thank you to everyone joining along. Good to see the number of viewers creeping up as we go through the morning. If you haven't yet, please do put a thumbs up on it. Click that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. There's plenty of content from FM and other games as well. And there's some real football chat too. Into the box, Leicester have had the first good chance there. There's a Tottenham youngster down there, Skip scoring for Stoke. Bit of a tongue twister that. Hamza Chowdhury to Smith-Rowe. Let's see how good he is in this game. We're going to have to demand more because we've been really poor so far. Capuano, back to the centre half, and we've forced them back there. That's good pressing. But Plazzari's still there, and Leicester are still playing out. It's all a bit easy. The pressing game's not quite there. It's out to the left-hand side, and it's just been a little bit too easy today. Back into Capuano, and we forced them back again. And you know my superstition? When we see a highlight this long, we know it's going to lead to something. So can we nick possession, or is it going to be a Leicester chance? Because whichever way it is, it's got a good chance of being a goal at this stage. In key highlights, you do not see one this long unless it's going to be crucial. It's Smith-Rowe, and we talked about it in pre-match, so he'll probably come back to get us there. It's headed just over, but great play from Smith-Rowe on the left. No, because my parents speak English, and my mates from Welsh school don't speak much of it. That's fair enough. Smith-Rowe was rated as the best academy prospect. I think he seems a bit injury-prone. To be fair, mate, a lot of the Arsenal ones are, aren't they? I've never really thought he had quite the physicality for the top level. He was always looked a little bit lightweight when he played in Premier League games. But then he looked good in the Europa League, so maybe for him, I know he went to Leipzig, it didn't quite work out, but maybe going abroad again next season would be an option. Because with Martinelli, Saka and Nelson, there's probably a few too many in attacking positions for him. I just finished making my first Rocket League montage this morning. See, I've never played that game. I've heard very good things about it. But I've never had a go at it. I probably will at some point in the future, but at the moment, FM and cricket are keeping enough on my plate. And after the cricket summer, we've got other things to look at as well. The new F1 game's out today, so I'd quite like to give that a go too, but whether I'll get to or not is another matter. There's a new golf game out soon as well, and I'm a big golf fan. Balogun back to Vaughan, have a go. Got to be the goal. It is the goal. Jack Vaughan in on the right wing, and he scored the goal. And with 20 to go, we'll wait to see what that does to the average ratings, and then we'll go and make a change. So let's see. A few players creeping up. It's the two wingers mainly. Phil Richards on a yellow, so he'll be replaced. We'll bring on... It'll have to be Robinson, I think. Ashley Harrott. He's had a little poor run, actually. He's going to be replaced by Lowry. Jack Vaughan will go number 10, sorry. We'll make the tactical changes in a minute. And who else can we do? Maybe Vinicius Xavier. He's not had a good game. He can be replaced by Marcus Vinicius, his namesake. Let's get into it. We need to make some tactical tweaks because the shape is all over the place there. Lowry will become an inside forward on attack. I think we're going to drop Bonner to a defensive duty, although he doesn't really suit it. But we need to give him a rest soon. Ossie Robinson's comfortable in there. None of them can really play as the number 10, which is a little bit of a concern for me. So do we leave Vaughan up there? Or do we maybe put Ossie Robinson there? Vaughan can go in the middle. Marius Vinicius, defensive playmaker. Let's do it. 15 to go. Can we hold on for another 1-0 win? Seems to be our favourite result at the moment. Thank you to those popping along, still creeping up, which is great. L Gaming, are we mates in real life? Yes, we went to school together. We are very close friends, and Tom is the star of the Sunday series, the Stadium Review series. So we've been trying to do the 92. He's moved up north to Leeds. I'm down in Luton still. So for us, we're going to be able to get to most of the grounds because we just stay at each other's areas. Obviously, his parents are still down south as well. We're trying to hang on with Burnley. We're in stoppage time. It looks like we're going to do so. Yep, Jack Vaughan the winner and another homegrown one getting the winning goal. But yes, Tom, a good friend and a contributor to the channel recently. Rocket these girls try. I will give it a go at some point. I always say these things, but time is not good with working full time, unfortunately. And Will Smith Rowe, that's why he's been sent to the Championship, bulk up and play games. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he had a spell of about 2 months before the lockdown. I think it was probably over December time, where he was absolutely brilliant. And he was contributing to almost every goal. But like you say, it's consistency. It's staying fit over a 40, 50 game season. Can he do that? Which you need to be a star at the likes of Arsenal in the top 6. Is it spelled Vinicius? If so, Vinici. Yeah, see, I can't do this. I can't. You know I'm awful with pronunciations, Tom. Thank you to everyone getting involved. Thank you for coming along this morning. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. We've had 3 games so far. Jack Vaughan's just scored a winner for us, one of our homegrown youngsters. And he's very good physically, so he's going to be able to play 20, 30, 40 games a season, no problem. We've got Millwall up next in the FA Cup. Let's hope it doesn't go the same way as the Forest Carabao Cup tie. So I'd really like to compete for trophies. And then next month, to be fair, we've not got many games, but it's a friendly run on paper. Brentford and Wolves, and then we've got a 2.5 week break. Although that's when the FA Cup tie would be, wouldn't it? So if we get through in the FA Cup, we'll play that 5th round tie as well. And we'll try and get through a few of them today. There will be a full replay afterwards, so any of you joining along late, don't worry, you can catch up a bit later on. Hibs have made an offer. Now, it's not great, but it has got a sell-on clause, so do I accept it? Although, there's Aston Villa are interested, and surely they'll bid a bit more. Look, there's loads of clubs want him. My beloved Luton Town as well, so let's try and get him there. So we're going to reject Hibs there, because they hadn't let us negotiate. Rod Coleman expecting to be loaned out as a promise. Well, Fabio's our backup, so we don't need to keep Coleman here. And he doesn't qualify for the rules. He joined 4 years ago, and he's 24. So he didn't get 3 years. So we'll loan him out. Let's see. In fact, what's he worth and how long's his contract? 2.5 years. So we'll loan him out for the rest of this season and then we'll sell him on. We'll ask for 100 grand a month as well on top of his full wage. I think we'll get that no problem. He's a good player. Oh, I'll tell you what, L Gaming, you're going to have to translate for me there, I'm afraid. Also, on what you said after the stream, I checked. You can rewatch it straight away if you want to. Yeah, so you can rewatch the stream straight away. But it takes, I mean, the first 2, it took nearly a day. But since then, probably about an hour or 2 afterwards. As Barnsley have bid what we wanted for Coleman. Simpson has signed a new deal. But after a couple of hours, you then get the uploaded live stream chat replay as well. So as it stands, you can watch it straight after, but I'm talking in response to your questions, and some people, for the ones I haven't mentioned, will have no idea what I'm on about. But a few hours later, once it's processed, it then has the live chat replay, it has the adverts, which are obviously important for the channel as well, and yeah, it's a bit weird that it takes so long. You'd thought it'd be there straight afterwards, but it's what it is. If you're not too worried about the chat, you can watch it all afterwards. And of course, we've got the head coach at R4 as well, so it's going to be a big day. Oh, there you go. No, I definitely can't do that. I can do Apple in Spanish. That's about it. Rotherham have made a bid for O'Callaghan. They want a wage contribution, so no chance at all. Tommy will be able to impress you with his fluent Spanish. He's learning more languages now as well, I think. Can you still speak any of the Chinese, Tom? That's what I want to know. Can you still remember that after 3 or 4 years? Right, we've got the confidence and focus issues for Millwall in the FA Cup. We know this has been a problem before. I mean, we lost to Forest at the Championship in the Carabao Cup. It's the perfect explanation, isn't it? We've got more football tonight as well. I'm a bit nervous for this evening as a Luton fan. We're playing Barnsley in a proper 6-pointer at the bottom of the Championship. And obviously those of you who followed Luton or Barnsley's results at the weekend will know it is the battle of the two worst defences in the league. So we'll wait and see what happens there. It was painstaking. Luton just completely ran out of gas. 3 brilliant results against good sides, and then as soon as the pressure was on at home against a side they could beat, it all went wrong. We had a keeper error, which we haven't had for a few weeks. Some of the defensive goals were suddenly league standards, so I'm a bit concerned about that. And then our Saturday game's been moved to Friday night as well, so it's less of a break after this one. Probably the 2 days we could have done with a bit more of a break as well, but it's what it is. We've got our FA Cup tie today, and then we'll make some youngsters available, I think. But some of them are going to play today, so I don't want to get too worried just yet. Andy May's got an injury, so he'll miss out. Rod Coleman to Barnsley. I'm just going to delay that so he can play in today's game. Again, the offer from Swansea, not quite good enough. We've got an offer for Glen Stevens, so let's see what we can do with this. Percentage of profit, we'll try and get that up. We'll try and get this up as well. I normally try and go just over double, so if we go for this, they can only negotiate. And if we can get Glen Stevens to probably 6 or 7 million, I'll be happy. Let's try and get that up to 6 and 2. That'll be 8 million, and we'll go for 40%. Perfect. So 8 million for Glen Stevens, a very good deal. Things looking good there. Borough's still there, no Warnock bounce yet. I made myself look stupid in the podcast predictions for that, because I said the Warnock bounce continue, and I've lost 2 on the bounce now. So Borough's still down there, Hull's still down there, despite a good couple of results. Luton lost 5-0 at home to Reading, who had nothing to play for. I can count to 10. What's your name? That's about it for Chinese. That's fair enough. That's still not bad, to be fair. But yeah, Luton at the weekend were absolutely awful. Probably the worst home performance of the season, to be honest. But the only solace was that Barnsley weren't much better. Huddersfield struggled. Middlesbrough struggled, as Todd mentioned. Charlton lost this week. I know they're probably a bit too far clear. Wigan lost, and they've obviously got the -12 coming. So no, Luton haven't gone down yet. It's very close at the bottom, actually. So Wigan were just about safe, and then they've gone into administration and got their 12-point deduction. So they're going to be on 38 as it stands. Luton are on 40. Barnsley 41, 42, one of the two. Middlesbrough 44 or 5. So there's about 4 or 5 points in it. Huddersfield are down there 44, 45 as well. And there's a couple on 46. So it's very tight still. And we've got to play Hull, Huddersfield and tonight Barnsley. So if we win those 3 games and we get to 49 points, I'll stick my neck on the line now and say we'll stay up with that. But I don't think we're going to win those 3 games, which is the issue. Are we going to make any changes? Yes, we are, because it's the FA Cup. So let's ring the changes. In goal, it will still be Grondona, because he's the backup anyway. And he's gone up to 3-star now, so that's a good sign. At right back, who are the subs? I always struggle with this. You know if you're a regular. Furlong will come in. He'll play alongside Fabio and Coleman. His last game for the club. And left back will be... Oh, we haven't got one. Can that guy play in the FA Cup? And is he back from international duty? He is, and he can. So Ruthven will make his debut for the club at 18 years of age. A brilliant young left back. He's going to be first choice as soon as he signs that deal. And Wardley will be sold then. Into midfield. This is where I struggle the most normally. We're going to put Phil Richards in. We'll go back to Mazzala there. We're going to have, on the left wing, Marius Vinicius. Up front will be Leon Lowry. On the right will be Jack Vaughan. And the other 2 in the middle will be Dwight McNeil as the number 10. Homegrown player at 29, 30 now. I didn't remember till I saw the stat that he played every minute in the Premier League this season when their game was on in midweek. Absolutely crazy. I think it was the Palace game I watched. So on that, the one on Amazon Prime. And the Mazzala, we'll do Robinson because he didn't play in the weekend, or last midweek, sorry. The substitutes bench will go for Wardley, Simpson, Higgins, Stevens, probably his last game for the club again, O'Callaghan, Balogun and a keeper just in case. So that's the 7. Let's get into it. Let me know if you think we'll fall apart now. The left back wants number 4 as a squad number. City boy. You're a number 3. You're a left back. 24 I'll give him. That's the closest I can do. You need to get to 50 points, I think. Well, in that case, the 3 wins and then a point from somewhere. But over the other 2 games, I'm trying to think. We have got... Tom, help me out. Who else have we got left? We've got the 3 big games. We were going to go to Hull and Huddersfield. A home on the final day. We've got... Charlton, maybe? Can't remember. I think it might be Charlton. The town will stand up. No, we've played Charlton at home already. You can ignore that. Tom, I appreciate your optimism, but you did say in Sunday's Stadium episode about Norwich that, because we recorded it before the Saturday, you said that Luton were on course to stay up and were doing well, and then they lost 5-0. So I don't know how much to trust your opinion, mate, to be brutally honest. Thank you to everyone popping along. Really do appreciate it. If you do a Discord and you want me to help you to know someone else and you need to add roles, yes, I will probably need that. So I'll let you know once I've done a bit of research, because I can see it's going to be one of the big things moving forward, but I definitely need to get it set up and get a bit of assistance with it. So I will endeavour to do my research next week, providing I don't get called to cancel my holiday. Long ball forward, I tell you what, Millwall have started this game well. Really isn't a good sign there. Cadden to Feeney. Up we go again. Long ball over the top. Good interception, Coleman. He's going to be playing at this level soon, so he'll get used to it. Lowry's in behind. Surely got a score. Into the box. Beats 2. Brilliant touch. Brilliant goal. Keeper probably should have done better at his near post. But Dwight McNeil sets it up. And with just 5 minutes on the clock, Leon Lowry is hopefully preventing the shock. Blackburn at home final day. That's the one. QPR at home is hard. That's an inconsistent team. I mean, they basically win and lose every other week. Blackburn, we beat away from home. Probably one of our best away days at the season. The last one you went to before you went jet set in South America, wasn't it? So that was a good performance. But I don't know whether we'll be able to keep going. I don't know whether we've got enough in us. I don't know whether we've got a strong enough squad, to be honest. The fact that he was having to play players who had just about passed fitness testing at the weekend does say that we're in a bit of trouble. He seems to have not really fancy Izzy Brown, and he didn't play well for him at the weekend. Didn't run for him like he was for Graham Jones, which is a worry. But Nathan Jones has never been the superstar type, has he? He's not. He's the opposite to Graham Jones, who was saying this is our star. He is our one Premier League player. But Nathan Jones doesn't work that way, and that's probably why it didn't work for him at Stoke. And in more alarming news, Millwall are dominating this match despite our 1-0 lead. Richards finds Ruthven on his debut, doing okay so far. Finds Coleman. Lovely switch of play out to Vaughan on the right. Playing out wide, he's beating his man so easily. Into the box unopposed and forces a great save from the Millwall keeper. And as we're coming up towards the hour mark now, that is one that we've certainly got to look out for. Thank you to those joining along again. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. I know Tuesday morning's not ideal, and gradually you'll all be creeping back to work, creeping back to school, college, whatever it may be, university even. But hopefully, for those of you that are about and need some support, even if it's just to hang out and have a chat, or to watch people getting involved, we can have a bit of entertainment. Jack Vaughan and Lowry both denied there. Millwall behind for a corner. And to be fair, we're starting to get on top in this game now. Vinicius from the left wing delivers the corner. Out to Richards, who heads over. We're going to regret missing some of these chances, I feel. Again, no one playing well in that Mazzala role. Robinson struggling there. Richards has played well in a playmaker role, so that's something we've got to look at for next season. The team works incredibly successfully there. But then in the Dawkins save, Stefan Moles was brilliant in that role. So I don't know why we've struggled with it so much here. Maybe it's just the way the wingers are playing. But we're going to tell the lads to keep it up. It's 1-0 at half time. And the only thing that can probably stop us here is complacency. What lineup would you have for England tomorrow? So, it looks like Denley's going to open, doesn't it? It looks like Denley and Crawley will be up there. The one other man I didn't know, because I didn't check before, is Ollie Pope in the squad. Because he's a player I wanted to see play. I would definitely go for... Well, to be honest, if it was me, I'd be going for Folkes as the wicketkeeper batsman and Butler as just a batsman. But that's not going to happen. So, Butler will be the wicketkeeper. We obviously haven't got Root, so that's going to be a place to fill. Who will come in, I don't know there. Ben Stokes will be in the middle order as usual. We know Don Bess is going to be the spinner, and the seamers, who knows who's going to start it, to be honest. The one good thing I wanted to point out tomorrow is the big change to Test cricket this summer is the highlights are on BBC, which is going to make such a difference to cricket in the country. I think it was us and a couple of others talking last week in the chat about the lack of cricket participation in schools. And having that on BBC, the highlights every night, that's going to make such a difference, as long as it's on at a prime time. Vinicius into the box, Lowry's there. Oh, you greedy man. You didn't need to shoot there. Had to pass it. But yeah, I think that'll make a massive difference. Yeah, if Pope's in the squad, I think he will come into that sort of extra batsman role. Where before Bairstow and Butler were in the squad, I think he'll come into the Bairstow position. Also for Discord, you need bots. So yeah, I don't know any of that stuff, so I'm definitely going to have to do more research. And I think, as Fabio's been mugged... Oh dear. Oh, Fabio, what are you doing, sunshine? You're one of the shining stars we've signed from South America. You're improving, you're doing well. Your concentration's supposed to be good. But you have made a right hash of that. And Millwall are still dominating this match. So let's make some changes. I haven't really got any good subs on either. Rob Simpson will come on for Fabio because he's not having a good game. The mistake could mentally ruin him as well. Out wide, I tell you what, let's go for natural width. I'm going to bring on Higgins for... I was going to say Robinson, but he's probably less likely than Vaughan to start next week. So we'll bring him on for Vaughan. And on the left wing, Vinicius can be replaced by McNeil out there. And the number 10 will go for Glen Stevens for his final appearance. Let's see if he can do something special. 25 left. We're going to ask for some passion because we've been absolutely woeful. We're also going to push up the defensive line. Try and get further up the pitch. Distribute to the fullbacks because the centre-halves don't look good in possession. Be more expressive, run at the defence. Let's get it wide and get the ball in the box. Thank you to everyone joining along. I really do appreciate it. Spending your Tuesday morning with me, even if it's just a watching brief. I can't thank you enough for your support. If you haven't already, please do put a thumbs up on it. Yeah, I'm sure Discord, I know I've got to set up. Probably in the future. Twitch, probably in the future. Patreon and all those sorts of things. They're probably all quite easy to do. The same as YouTube. I was absolutely petrified of it. I didn't stream for a year and a half because I was scared of it. As Leon Lowry puts the ball in the net, runs the length, goes round the keeper. How did the scouts and how do our coaches rate him worse than O'Callaghan? He's such a good striker. But yeah, I'll definitely get it right, the Discord. I want to have it, basically, I want to have a sort of, like I did when I started this channel in FM18. I want to get it set up by sort of end of August at the latest. So I've got a couple of months of trial and error before FM21 comes out. Because that's going to be the biggest moment in my channel's history. Now I've found my identity, the style of content I want to create. FM21 will be big. I've got a little partnership set up with a non-league club for the One Club Story. So I'll be able to bring some real content for the first time as well. Obviously over on the podcast I've had experience of doing matchday vlogs and podcasts now as well. So that means that I'm in sort of the position to make a proper series. As Ovi Ajaria, still going, must be experienced now, rattles the woodwork. Nearly gets Millwall a replay. But as it is, Leon Lowry's brace takes us through. It was a rubbish performance. But we're going to praise the lads, keep the confidence up. And we've now just got to get to deadline day. There shouldn't be anyone coming in unless Mullen's available again. But otherwise, I think it's probably just going to be people going out. Higgins has picked up a knock. Ruthven made his debut. Will he sign a new deal yet? Not yet. Going to be another month at least. Hasn't even got the message to say that will change in the near future. Leon Lowry with a brace. How many's he got this season? 8 goals. I mean, 5 in 4 Premier League starts is incredible. I think in the summer he will be ready to replace Balogun. It's just Andy May as a backup. Probably not strong enough. But there we go. We'll wait and see who we get in the 5th round too. Because that will be our last game this morning. We can go on a bit longer. I haven't got any interviews booked today. I've got them a bit later in the week this time. I have got to prioritise them a bit though, because the podcast is starting to go nuts now. I mean, it's gained 100 subscribers in a month, so at this rate, it'll probably overtake this channel by the end of the year. What's my favourite football chant? It has to be the Tranmere Tequila. It's absolutely brilliant. As a neutral football fan, it makes me want to go and watch football. So I can't not pick that one. There's a young striker here who they're telling us to buy, which might solve our problem, but unsporting personalities, more the target man type, doesn't suit our tactic. So no, not him. Oh, this one's better though. 17-year-old fullback Marco Vanden from Feyenoord. 17 years old. We'll get him for 18. He's a left back. And after Ruthven, we haven't got anyone because Wardley's not homegrown. It's the one position we haven't really got a top youngster anywhere in Burnley Football Club. So he might have to be the other one we bring in. Should we try and get him in? Let's go for it. If we get them while they're cheap as well, it doesn't matter too much. Just also on this one, I would like to eventually get to 2 live streams a week, but it will depend. If things gradually go back to normal and recruitment goes well, I will be able to slightly drop my work hours in probably September, October time. And if that's the case, I'll definitely put live streaming as a priority because it's definitely one of the biggest things for me. If we can get this guy in for 3.4 million, that will be incredible. Nathan Mullen, I'm just checking he's still at Hearts. We'll wait till deadline day because we haven't had a notice to say he'll discuss a deal yet. And we'll probably have to pay a bit more in wages now. I know I don't drink, Tom, but it's such a good chant. It really is. I'm not condoning drinking. I'm just saying the chant's brilliant. Some of your favourite Wrexham chants you can't say in the chat. Yes, please don't. It is a family-friendly channel, so I've picked one that is family-friendly as well. But yeah, there are a few others as well. Gaming. And Rocket League is probably better than FIFA. Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest. Me and Tom, because of the lockdown, well, I hadn't even bought FIFA this year for the first time in probably 4 or 5 years. And because the lockdown, me and Tom both got it and we played a few games online. And to be fair, probably lasted about 2 weeks before we both got bored of the game. I don't know if Tom still plays it now or you do, but I don't. I haven't played it since probably April or May. I've gone back to cricket. I've played the snooker game. I played F1, but I couldn't get into FIFA. It's just... And I was doing well at it. It's not that I was losing every game and getting frustrated. I know Tom's slightly better than me, but I was definitely winning most games online, getting promoted those seasons, but just it wasn't enjoyable. It didn't feel like a football game. The career mode is the bit that I've always been the most interested in, and it's absolutely rubbish. I mean, there's a lot of the big creators that have made a bit of a stand against it. So I'd love to see that get a major upgrade, and then I'd do a FIFA career, no doubt at all, but I did one in FM20, in FIFA 19, which went okay. But again, after 3 or 4 years, you just get a bit bored. You can sign anyone you want. There's no real restriction on it. And I was winning the FA Cup in the Championship, despite being on top difficulty, because I was signing brilliant youngsters. And then it wasn't like that realistic mode where clubs put pressure on to sign them. As we've agreed a D for Vanden. There's not that pressure on it. There's not that realism in the transfer market. And I find that really difficult. But yeah, it is. Tom, you still play it a few times a week. Fair play. I mean, I'll probably sell mine on, to be honest, because I don't play it. I mean, it got us for a couple of weeks of lockdown. It was the 2 weeks where actually I had the presumed coronavirus symptoms. So for those 2 weeks, it was appreciated. And it was something to do, and it was something I could do without lifting my head off the pillow as well, which was nice. But it is what it is. Oh, loads of Discord Pro Clubs competition. Yeah, see, for me, the Discord for me, the same as this sort of live stream chat and most of my videos really, you can probably tell I'm not the most competitive soul in the world. Tom will tell you as well, when we go to Luton games, I'm not the one jumping and ranting and raving out of my seat. I'm a very calm, measured man at football. So for me, I wouldn't get involved in the sort of competitive side of Discord, and it's the thing I found the hardest about the podcast, to be honest, where we're doing predictions and podcast episodes about certain events. So I'll give you an example. Last week we did one about Wigan going into administration. It went incredibly. It got like 1,000 views in 5 days. But in that episode, we had a situation where we were talking about it. As Luton fans, we sympathised. We've been there 4 or 5 times. And then you get most fans coming along and talking sensibly. And then the 1 or 2 fans from the rival club who just come in and go, look at your club, you're tin pot, you're going to fall apart. It's great to see that you're in trouble. And it's not, is it? I mean, it's loads of people are going to lose their jobs out of it at the worst possible time in the economy. And whether you appreciate or hate, the same for me if Watford went out of business. There's still probably 20, 30, 40 people, probably more than that if you include stewards and matchday staff, that are going to lose their job and income they need. And at the moment, there ain't going to be enough jobs to go around for them. So I don't enjoy that side of it. And we do just shut them down. But it seems like there's always one or two there for that sort of clickbait culture, which I find a bit difficult. So, yeah. That's the one gripe I have with football at the moment. And social media has driven it to an extent. But more so the mainstream media. You see on Sky Sports, they're getting Fans TV on and just to slate other teams' clubs and things like that. And that's not what it's about. I don't wish ill on Watford. You know, if they get relegated, they'll probably bounce back. They're a decent club. The only thing I moan at Watford for is the price of their pies. Let's go through the FA Cup draw. Are we going to get a decent side? I'd like to go on a little run, but we need a friendly draw. And there's some big teams left still. Although I tell you what, for the last 16... there's only 3 of the big 6 left. Tottenham, United and City are there. There's no Arsenal. There's no Liverpool. There's no Chelsea. And we've got Sheffield Wednesday or Everton, which I presume has gone to a replay, or is it the Monday night game? It has gone to a replay, so you'd have to assume at Goodison Everton will win that. But still a chance. Everton's certainly a winnable game. Lower mid-table. And we've reached the magic 40 points mark as well. So where are we going into the next month? We've got Brentford, Wolves, and then we should have the FA Cup tie. So those will be the 3 more games today. How much were the pies at Watford? They were £5 on their own. Which, as a standalone, is the most expensive I've ever seen, including all of the London clubs. Even at Wembley, with a soft drink, you can get that and a drink for about £6.50 or £6.70, I think it is. £7 at the most. But for Watford, the drinks were normal price, about £2.50, which are most football grounds. But then £5 for a pie and that, you're talking £7.50 for a pie and a drink, which is ridiculous. And if it's an alcoholic drink, you're then talking nearly £10. So, not having that. Yeah, £5 for a pie is the worst I've seen. I mean, even like the crisps and the chocolate bars were £2, which most football grounds don't stray above £1.50, £1.60. Luton Ground's really lucky because where it is, there's a Sainsbury's at the bottom of the hill. So you can go into Sainsbury's, you can get a bottle of drink, you can take the lid off, or you can get one of the keyring lid things, and you can just walk it into the ground. And you can get a chocolate bar or whatever there as well for 60, 70p rather than in the ground. I know it's not supporting the club financially, but we pay for the season ticket. You've got to be realistic for most working class fans. In Wrexham, £2.50 for a bottle of water. Now, is that water and all the other drinks at the same price? Or are the other drinks? Because if soft drinks are more than £2.50, then I'll tell you what, Wrexham will be the next one that gets slated, I'm afraid. Because I can't be supporting that. Tom, you wish ill on all clubs you don't like. I know you do. And I'm not a big fan of it, to be brutally honest. I'm not the sort of type to wish ill on clubs. I wish everyone decency. Of course, if it goes into a relegation battle in the Premier League and I'm asked which 3 would I like to go down, of course Watford will be one of those 3 because I prefer them less than other clubs. But even then, when they had Zola in charge, Zola was one of my favourite players growing up, so I thought, do you know what, I don't mind if Watford do okay. When they've had players there that I've liked, they had Alessandro Diamanti for a while. I can't not enjoy that. But, you know, I'm a football fan. I always say this, I'm a football fan before I'm a Luton fan. I love Luton, but I can see beyond it. The examples of that being when I'm sitting with 2 season ticket holders. If a Luton player, which very rarely happens, but it happened once last season, the Luton player dived right in front of us to try and win a penalty. I just said, get up. What are you doing? And, you know, the 2 blokes I'm sitting with at the football are absolutely slating me. Why aren't you supporting the club? Well, I am supporting the club, but I'm a football fan first. I don't want to see anyone dive. And if it's my own player, if it was a Sunday League team and my own player dived, I'd go and drag him up and tell him what on earth you're doing. So that will never change, I guess. But that's probably where I'm different to a lot of fans. They support their club first and then they like football. All drinks are the same. That's fine then. So £2.50 is not a problem at all. If it's £2.50 and you get a bottle of other soft drinks too, that's fine. I only wish worse on Chester. Yeah, you see, again, I don't... And Chesterfield. Well, I'll tell you what, Chesterfield have dropped down at an alarming rate the last few years, haven't they? Chester on the way back up. The thing for me is, I'm not saying I wish well on the clubs. Like, I don't want Watford to be incredibly successful. But I'm never going to wish them to go out of business in administration or whatever, you know. So, that's all it is for me. We are into transfer deadline day. I'm going to have another go at selling some of these players. So Higgins is wanted on loan by a lot of clubs. So should we try a different approach? Let's go for a loan with 100% and see who offers the most of his wages. Glen Stevens we know is probably going now. Trevor O'Callaghan. I think I'm going to have to give up a bit of the sell-on fee. So we're going to go unspecified and see what we get offered. And is there anyone else? Don't think so. I'd like to loan out Andy May because next season he's going to be involved in the first team squad. So I need him to get a bit of games under his belt and try and reach a bit of that potential. But other than that, I think we're good to go. We've got Darnell Furlong at the end of the season going as well. We'll have to put in a bid for Nathan Mullen again in a minute too. Thank you to everyone joining along as well. I can just see the number of views creeping up. Good to see you all popping along. I know 11 o'clock becomes the more popular. Yeah, Tom, Arsenal fan first, Luton fan second, football fan third probably for you. But for me, football fan, then Luton fan. Carl, I've missed the first hour. What have you missed? Not a huge amount off the pitch. We had one 18-year-old we were trying to sign who rejected us. We've got another Dutch one about to come in. We're trying to get rid of a few as well who aren't homegrown and don't fit the criteria long term, as you can see. And hopefully we'll be able to do that today. So let's see what the wages are. 20%. None. Right, we're rejecting you. I think 20% is going to be the most here. No, Aberdeen 40%. Good lads. Millwall nothing. That's just cheap because they can afford it. So we're hoping that we can get him off to Aberdeen. He is a Scotsman, so I'm sure he won't mind going north of the border. Very good club as well, Aberdeen. And there we go. They've also made a bid for O'Callaghan. Are any of these... No, they're just weird offers. The others want wage contributions. So Aberdeen he may be going to. There you go. It could be a double swoop. Higgins and O'Callaghan. Accrington want Andy May on loan. 60% wages. Millwall, none. You're not having him. Cardiff, none. You're not having him. And Accrington, probably the most likely to give him first team football. So good on them. Appreciate them offering their money for him. If you haven't yet, please do put a thumbs up on it. Carl, we will do a quick roundup of transfer deadline day and the window when we get there. And I'll show you the recent form before we get into the next game. But needless to say, by us being 6th in the league still, we're doing pretty well. LA Galaxy have gone for O'Callaghan. Let's try and edge them up. We have. So that gives him another choice. We also need to try and do a little bit of business with Nathan Mullen, the one who rejected us. I don't know, as we go into deadline day, if he'll be willing to discuss terms again yet. Normally we get a notice in the scout reports, but I haven't been reading them particularly in detail. So let's make an offer again. We know what offer gets accepted. I'm just excluding this percentage of profit because they always like to throw that in. Loan back length end of the season. That's not a bad idea. Oh, but I can't do it. His birthday's before the end of the year, isn't it? His birthday's in May. I can't do that. Because he won't then be homegrown at the club. I nearly made a grave error there. So I'm going to have to exclude that. And I'll tell you what, to just sweeten them up, as we've got money, I'll round it up to 4 million. And I've accepted it. There we go. Probably not the most prudent bit of business I'll ever do, but it's going to be crucial. And this time we ignore Neil. We're not going to loan him out. We are going to get him in. We're going to offer him 10 grand a week up front. And based on him offering 2.5 grand there, I'm just going to treble everything. So 10 grand, we'll go 100 grand there. We'll go 60 grand there. We'll round that up to 1,000. That was going to be harder. We'll round that up to 400. We'll round that up to 700. Don't really want any of the future increases in. 5% wage rise is fine. There we go. He's accepted that one. And we might yet have 2 Wonderkids coming in on deadline day. A 17 and 18-year-old. Let's see how we're cracking on. It's all looking good at the moment. We're just trying to edge things up and down. The chat's going a bit crazy. Let me catch up there. Chesterfield fans were discussing at Wrexham. But that's the thing, isn't it? You can't bear in mind, as Andy May goes out on loan to Accrington to get some football. I think he's been there before, has he? No, it was Rotherham he was at last time. There's always a few idiot fans at every club. Like if Luton came to Wrexham, I'm sure 10 fans would do something stupid. But most fans would come there and support a football club. So don't always judge teams on their worst fans, would be my advice. It's something that frustrates me as a calm Luton fan. Where do you think you will finish on this series with Burnley? So the plan is 3 years. This year is sort of our transition year. We want to try and get into some form of European football, which we're on course to try and do. So hopefully then the second year, we can go for a more homegrown squad and give some of the lesser known youngsters a chance in European football and in the cups. And it looks like we're about to get our final 2 pieces of the jigsaw. So Trevor O'Callaghan is leaving. He's going to LA Galaxy. Higgins has gone on loan to Aberdeen. They're both not homegrown. And May has gone to Accrington to get football. In the summer we'll sell Balogun. May will become backup. But Mullen's coming in as another number 10. At 18, he will be here for 3 years and he'll become homegrown. And Vanden will join next January after he turns 18. So we've got another year before he comes in. So that leaves us a 6-month problem after Furlong leaves. But the deals are done. Mullen's come in, 2-star ability, 5-star potential. Glen Stevens will leave and he'll take that place in the squad. Only players who are homegrown or will become it. Nathan Mullen is the next man in. Let's ask Edmonds to welcome him as well, and hopefully he'll get on board with the rest of the squad. Check the Championship for good youngsters. So I've got scout reports all over the place. We've got some in the Championship, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and then we've got a couple of scouts doing European ones as well. I meant in the table, but that as well. So in the table this year, anywhere that qualifies for Europe. So obviously last year when this was the head coach, we got it 7th and then didn't qualify. So we probably need to keep an eye. The FA Cup didn't look promising, but the Carabao Cup as well. Who's in the finals or semis? So the finals, Chelsea-Liverpool. So that's not great either. We need Liverpool to win that. Because if Chelsea win it and then they finish below us, they'll nick our European spot. So we need a big favour from the Merseyside club there. Carl, we knocked Barnsley's confidence from you on Saturday, but then you proceeded to lose 5-0. Yes, we did have a little brief chat about that. It is the battle of the 2 worst defences in the Championship. It was just a game too far. The lads are knackered. We haven't got a big enough squad. We've got players playing who just about scrape through fitness tests. And that's probably my worry moving forward now, is how do we survive on 2 games a week? Our game this weekend has been moved back to Friday for TV, or moved forward, sorry, for TV. So it's conspiring against us, I'm afraid. And at 0-0 on Saturday, we hit the bar. We should have had a penalty, and then it just descended into chaos. So yeah, L Gaming, I think this season it's all about Europe. So whether that's from winning the FA Cup or a top 7 league finish of some sort, then fine. I can't sell Wardley yet because the other fullback can't play, but in the summer he will be off. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, Luton Barnsley tonight. But of course, it looks like Stoke have got themselves just about safe as well. And as we said in a podcast, the first week where Michael O'Neill's been back training the squad, it really showed. They were brilliant, as much as Barnsley were bad. And then L Gaming next year, I would like to finish in the top 6 with Burnley. And then the third year, if we could finish by qualifying for the Champions League and by winning something, that would probably be the ideal outcome for me. Let's see how we're getting on here. Injury to Flow out 3 to 4 days. Of course, centre-half's going to be a problem this summer. I know we'll have Fabio still. And we'll, of course, still have Simpson there. But that is a little bit of a concern for us. So where did Tom go? I'll tell you where he's probably gone. Either his internet's gone, which mine is struggling a bit at the minute as well, or he teaches lessons online, English lessons to Chinese students, because he used to work in China and do it. So sometimes he gets a lesson at short notice where he's not booked and he just has to run off and do it like that. Thank you to everyone joining along. The number of thumbs up creeping on as well. It's great to see so many of you here. I think it is just buffering a little tiny bit at the minute. Unfortunately, a van has just parked up at the end of the road to work on the social media, the green things in the wall. That is the least technical term you'll hear. The server, that's what I was looking for. So I'm guessing I might just cut off at some point if he presses the wrong cable. Let's crack on though. We're through transfer deadline day. We'll do a roundup after that. Thank you to everyone who is joining along. I do appreciate you joining later on in the stream. We're getting loads of offers for Wardley, which we can't do anything with. Because one left back hasn't signed a senior deal and one's out on loan. But it is great to have so many of you here. The views always creep up around 11 o'clock. I mean, last week's streams did nearly twice as well as the one before live. and it's done about 10 or 20 views better overall. So it is incredible, the support. And considering this is still, what, the 7th, 8th live stream? It's incredible to be going that well. Transfer deadline day is just about over. Just 4 hours to go. And I tell you what, Fulham are persistent with Wardley, but they keep offering the same deal. It's not really tempting us. Yeah, I'm not worried about who Inter Milan are signing. Coleman on loan to Barnsley. We'll do that deal. He's one who'll be going in the summer permanently. And I think that's going to be just about it. Deadline day is over. We have got the second lowest wage expenditure now because some of the bigger earners are going off. Some of those senior players are going off. And we've got a lot of youngsters trying to prove a point. In terms of transfers, I'll round up the window very quickly. In terms of the ins, you've seen it all. Yeah, a little bit of buffering. Unfortunately, as I said, the bloke's at the end of the street and he's just started fiddling with the cables on the server. So I am a little bit concerned that we may have a little bit of interruption. But if it gets too bad, let me know and we'll just cut it a little bit shorter. But it looks like it's just evened out again now. But let's crack on. The transfer deadline day, the 2 players coming in are just the 2 you saw on deadline day. And Graham Ruthven, the one that was pre-agreed before January. He's on a youth work permit, so can only play in the cup at the moment. And we'll be keeping an eye on him to sign a new deal as soon as he possibly can. We'll offer him £8 a week and he will then become first choice left back. We've got Steve Hay out on loan. He might have to be back up left back for the first half of next year until the Dutchman comes in January. We've had a couple leaving the club. Rod Coleman on loan to Barnsley. Craig Robinson on a permanent to Barnsley. And Jamie Higgins on loan to Aberdeen. Andy May's gone to Accrington as well, but he will come back in the summer. The other 3, all likely to have played their last game for us. They're not homegrown and they won't fit this save. Carl, just in the middle of a real save, won the Prem and had a good run in Europe, but need to move clubs now. So that's it. I always find that hard with a journeyman. The same as this one where I've ended up with Burnley here. It was part of the head coach, but then I get attached to clubs. That's why I always prefer the one club stories, but I completely understand it. I'm just seeing if I can put Ruthven in the Premier League squad. Because if he does then become eligible, I want to make sure that he's in. He is in, so that's fine. Everyone's included and should be able to get involved. But yeah, I never blame anyone for leaving clubs, and I actually envy people who can easily do it. And I do want to go and have a go at a Welsh club in the future. Whether it be a TNS at Bangor City. Used to do Port Talbot before they dropped down the leagues. You finally got Wrexham to the Championship when you saved. Congratulations. How realistically are you doing it? Are you using the player search screen? Are you doing the transfers yourself? How far are you going on there? We've got a brilliant scout report there, but the lad's 22, so we're not going to be able to take advantage of that. Pretty sure I recognise him at Gladbach in the alternate universe of this save. And we got 3rd in manager of the month. Not bad going at all. Thank you to everyone popping along. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. But I really am enjoying it. It looks like we're going really well again. And we're heading through now to 3 games in quick succession with Burnley. We've gone through the long day, which was transfer deadline day. We've got Brentford on Sunday, Wolves the Saturday after. And we might just squeeze in the FA Cup 5th round tie as well. Pre-match press conference. You know I like the second option, so let's just go for that. Don't know if we'll have Flauhaut fit, who will be a miss, particularly after Fabio's error in the last game. Doing transfers yourself, yeah, it should make it a bit easier in the Championship to Premier League transition. In the lower leagues, it's very difficult, but when you get to the Championship, that's where I found, probably League One, the Championship, I got stuck with Dorking. Because although I was doing the transfers myself, not having the player search screen made it a lot harder. We didn't have scouts that could compete. But having said that, Wrexham, a bit like Torquay I had in FM19, a much bigger club behind the scenes. Probably a League 2 club in terms of infrastructure. So it makes it a little bit easier for you. And obviously you've got the bigger ground there too. Probably League 1 standard, that. Thank you to everyone coming along again. It does make such a difference. I've got to say, I was a little bit overwhelmed this morning. Not overwhelmed, that's probably not the right word. Delighted to see when I came along and there were 3 or 4 people waiting before the stream started. It's not something I expected when I started this series 5 weeks ago. And obviously we've had a little boost in subscribers the last couple of weeks as well. We've gained another 20 or 30. We've gone past 1,200, which is massive. I do need to give a little thanks to the Custard Prophet as well. I was in his creator showcase for Football Manager creators. And that episode did well for him, and also for me. It meant we were able to get more people across, even 5 or 10 other creators. Right, in terms of players available, I do want to make Whitehouse available, but I don't want him to miss out on the first team. But thankfully the fixtures are well placed this time. We'll put Richie in there to get a match in the under-23s. Dwight McNeil the same. Fabio the same. It's just match fitness at this point. Vinicius the same. And there we go. I think that'll be it. Nathan Mullen, I think, went into the 23s, did he? No, he's in the senior squad. And he is replacing Glen Stevens, who is going over to Asia. Saudi Arabia, that is, I believe. For £8 million. And we're now going away to Brentford. Another game we'd like to continue this run. Thank you for the extra thumbs up. Do appreciate it. Carl, I tend to use the Director of Football a lot and search smaller nations around Europe. Yeah, I mean, I quite often end up going for the transfer targets the Director of Football's picked. Particularly in the lower leagues where they find 3 free agents, where you haven't got the scouting budget. It does make a difference. Only used it, doing transfer, only used it really when I was desperate for loan players. Yeah, I mean, they do suggest some good players. You don't have to use them, but you often in the lower leagues don't have the resources to scout them all. Brentford in their 25,000 seater, and we've got to change our team back to normal. I've gone quick pick there, which I didn't mean to, but it might actually help a bit. Let's get rid of the unavailable players. Flauhaut is not fit. Fabio in for him. And of course, we've got rid of the other centre-half, Coleman, now, haven't we? And Craig Robinson would have covered there. White. Oh, I've got the under-23s in, that's why. Let's get rid of that. Starting to look a bit of a threadbare squad, actually. On the right wing, Torres is out, so Vaughan will continue. Scored the winner in the last league game. Robinson in the middle. Vinicius, Xavier, Edmonds, Harrop, Balogun. Yes, that is the first team. And then on the bench, Dwight McNeil will be there instead of Richie. And Mullen will come into the squad. He will replace the injured Flauhaut. O'Callaghan's going too, so he'll be replaced by Whitehouse. Another homegrown player that we can get appearances to. And another one that's improving. So let's go and get into the match. Nathan Mullen, you can have number 20. Fingers crossed the good run continues. I'll catch up with the chat in a second. Let's just get this game rolling. 4-2-3-1 for Brentford. Angel Gomez in the number 10 from United. Up front, they've got Lecco, a bit of a star for Tranmere in my podcast network career. Scored a goal every game in that one, although he was playing off the right wing rather than up front. I've noticed in the 4-2-3-1s this year, the wingers score a lot more than the strikers. It's only really in this tactic it's worked. Yeah, finish your own work first. That's more important. If you're working, if you're at college, uni, school, finish the things you need to do. Put me on in the background as an afterthought. That's all that matters at first. Get your work done. You can catch up with the stream later if you've got time. But at the moment, all is going well by the looks of things. We're into the game. Let's hope we can keep Brentford at bay and continue our good run. I think we will finish after the second league game against Wolves because the stream is a little bit dodgy now. It's still in good condition, but I'm worried about that bloke at the end of the street. And I don't want too much buffering going on later on, or I don't want to cut out completely. So after the 2 league games, we will leave it at that. We'll get to the FA Cup game, though, off camera for next one. And it'll be a great start next week, won't it? An incentive to come along. FA Cup's last 16. Can we get through against, presumably, Everton? We'll know who we're facing at that point. It's been a good start to this game. Quite a few highlights early on. Robinson and Bonner playing a 1-2. Robinson, despite his 4 form, getting in the team as Vaughan's having to play on the right due to injury. Vaughan will cut it back. Headed away as far as Vinicius Xavier. Into Bonner. He's had a good spell, the right back, recently. Over to Vaughan. Flicks on. Balogun's there. Has to score and does score. Only the 7th of the season for Balogun, who has not had a great spell. And Leon Lowry hot on his tails. But Balogun with a captaincy today reacts and is back to his best. Let's hope he can make that 2 or 3 now. Thank you to everyone joining along and putting a thumbs up on. It does make a difference. We're 90 minutes in now. We're flying along. And we only got 2 more games to go. So hopefully that'll stand us in good stead as we finish. But as I say that, Owen Edmonds has picked up an injury on the left, so Dwight McNeil will come on. I'm bringing the experienced man on for longer. He's still homegrown, so fits the rules. But that is a big worry, because if Edmonds has got a serious injury, he had one in our first season at Burnley. He was out for the 3 months of the summer, but this one's mid-season, which is a concern. Brentford delivered a ball. Oh no, Grondona's dropped it. We do miss Ryan Summerskill at times, don't we? Gomez puts it into the empty net. Why are they blaming Fabio for that goal? Grondona came miles out of his goal and missed it. They want to blame Fabio for anything here. 10 to the break, it's 1-1. Brentford dominant, by the way. We've only had one shot all game. We're going to demand a bit more as Fabio plays out from the back again. Simple pass to Wardley this time. Not getting too excitable. And McNeil picks it up. Takes on his man. Doesn't beat him. He's not quite Owen Edmonds, is he? And he's not quite the Dwight McNeil from real life. Handle out to De Silva. Nicked by Robinson high up the pitch. Balogun's picked it up off him. 2 running off. One of them's Harrott. Oh my word, he's dragged it wide. That's an awful miss. And he's been in really poor form, Harrott, the last few weeks. He's generally been very good. You could wear a tie again if you get to the final live. I will do. So in this series, any one club series, like the Dorking one or this stream series, I will if we get to the final. If it happens mid-episode though, I'm not changing. I'm definitely not changing on camera. The only one I won't is the head coach, because I'm more of a laid-back tactical manager in that one. Xavier gets it wide to Bonner. Over on the right side, he's got Vaughan overlapping, but goes inside to Robinson. Inside to Xavier. Man over on the right, but goes back to Simpson instead. Long ball forward, George heads away as far as Ossie Robinson again. Here's Bonner to Harrott. Back inside. Simpson keeping it. Really good football, but not right the opening. Vaughan skips the challenge into the box. Drags his shot wide. But much better signs there from Burnley. Nearly said Dorking. And at half-time, we've almost levelled up the stats. It is still 1-1 though, and that's got to be the worry. So we're going to say we're disappointed. We're not happy with the performance. And we're going to crack on into the second half. Hopefully, better signs to come. Grondona at the back, who of course dropped that cross early on. Long ball forward to Robinson. I was just put off by background there noise there, so apologies if that showed on the mic. I've no idea where it came from. Vaughan into the box. Got to be a penalty. Got to be a penalty. He was definitely brought down there. Free kick. VAR says it's outside the box. Oh, look how close it is. Balogun to deliver it to the back post. That's got to be a penalty. Surely he was brought down there. There was a tug on the shirt. But it's gone out and a goal kick given. It's not going to be our day today, is it? Thank you to everyone popping along. The number of views always creeping up after 11. I do really appreciate it. Thank you for spending your Tuesday morning with me again. I know it's not the ideal timings, but as I said, due to work commitments, it is necessary, I'm afraid. We're going to make different subs today. So, Leon Lowry's going to come on. I'm going to have to go to the proper tactics screen to do this. I was tempted to bring Mullen on, but today's probably not the day. Ossie Robinson will be replaced by Lowry. Vaughan will go into the Mazzala. Lowry will be an inside forward on attack. And in the middle, Vinicius Xavier, another star we've got to sell eventually, will be replaced by Phil Richards. They're the 2 changes we're going to make. And as I say that, Brentford are coming forward. You know my superstitions, but Wardley wins it back. And the subs are made with no harm done. Balogun's going to deliver it in as well. Lowry heads in. Off the bench, Leon Lowry is so clinical. Here's just a proper goal scorer. Like a Ruud van Nistelrooy for the future. I'm going to drop the defensive fullback duties because Brentford have got their wingers really high up. I might drop Phil Richards as well, but it doesn't seem worthwhile. Dwight McNeil, he can drop to a support duty. In fact, no. Let's not change the way we play. If anything, instead of that, we'll just drop to balanced, which will probably work a little bit better. And hopefully, as we level up the stats, we can hang on for this victory. El Gaming, Tuesday morning's perfect for you. Good to see. Mr. McGinney Esther, welcome along. Good to have another regular in. The ref doesn't know what he's doing, no. I mean, you've got to blame VAR there, not the referee. Richards delivers. Can we wrap it up, or will we get a sucker punch on the counter? Burnley 2-1. Oh, there's a hamstring there. And Phil Richards over the top to Balogun. In one-on-one, and he scores. 3-1, wraps it up, and with 7 to go, Burnley have definitely won again. I think based on a few of the buffering issues, we will probably end it after this one. We'll let you guys all go and get lunch as well. But we'll round up what's gone on because Sunday Balogun and Leon Lowry are back in form and flying. I'm glad Tuesday morning works well. Great to see so many viewers here at the end. It's always good to have you here after 11. Don't forget there will be a full stream replay available after, so you can go back and catch up with anything you've missed. And the head coach will be back as normal at 4:30 today. Let's have a look. Can we hold on? Iheanacho's picked up a knock for Burnley. But it looks like we've got through the transfer window, made a few more moves, and we've got another win under our belts. A brilliant performance, a brilliant result. And we're on to 43 points. So we're just going to finish off the Monday fixture. Edmund's out for 3 to 4 weeks. That could lead to a bit of bad form next week in the live stream. Sunday Balogun gets praised. We need him to get us out of jail with individual goals. And the post-match press conference, we'll just do the usual options. So let's skip ahead, get any Monday fixtures out the way. And then at that point, hopefully we'll avoid more injuries and we can review what's happened in this morning's stream for any of you that haven't been here the whole time. Conference League, here we come. That's the plan. I want to be in Europe next year. We said it a bit earlier on. We either need to be in the Europa Conference or the Europa League so these youngsters can get a bit of football. Particularly some of the lesser well-known ones who can then improve quicker. So is there a Premier League fixture today? There is. Stoke West Ham. West Ham just on the edge of that chase. So we'll let them play their game first. And then we'll review how we've got on today. I'll obviously play the days off camera until we get to the next match. And then we'll make next week's a bumper stream. I've got the whole week off work. So there's not so much time pressure. Hopefully there won't be a Virgin Media man trying to unplug and plug in all the internet on the server at the end of the street. And we won't have that little bit of pressure with us. Darnell Furlong's withdrawn his transfer request. He is going to be going at the end of the season as he retires. But let's just get through this West Ham game. Thank you to everyone who's popping along. It does mean such a lot. To have so many of you here on a Tuesday morning really is great. Thank you for everyone who has put a thumbs up on it as well. Thank you to everyone who stuck along and getting involved in the chat too. It's a good little community. We've talked football and probably more cricket today, but either way, there's plenty of sports to be excited about. Let's get through the West Ham game. Are they going to stay in touch of the European chase or are Stoke going to get themselves safe? I'm sure Carl will be hoping for the latter. And Stoke have lost, I'm afraid. Still 9 points clear of relegation. They should be fine. But West Ham keeping themselves within 10. Chelsea have really fallen away. And that's good. 12 points is almost unassailable with 13 to go. Leeds are 8 behind. Leicester 9 behind. I tell you what, the top 6 is looking likely now. Liverpool are a bit too far ahead in 5th probably. But we have got our toughest run to come, don't forget. So after the Wolves, Forest and the FA Cup tie, we've got a nice run in March, but then the end of the season is horrible. We've got City, Liverpool and Arsenal in a row and Tottenham on the final day away from home. That West Ham game could be crucial as well. There are so many tough ones. So that's the roundup of the live stream today. I think we'll have 5 games in the end because transfer deadline day just slowed us down a bit. We beat Stoke 1-0 at home. Ferran Torres got the winner and got an injury. Won 1-0 at United. Lost 1-0 at United, due to a late goal. Won 1-0 at home to Leicester. Jack Vaughan in on the right wing for the injured Torres. He got the winner as well. A 2-1 narrow victory in the FA Cup with Leon Lowry scoring both. And then that man got a goal off the bench against Brentford as well, as Sunday Balogun was the hero with 2 goals. I will very quickly see where Wrexham are before we go. You give me a question idea. What's the funny thing you think that's happened when you were recording? I can tell you the answer to that exactly. I can't remember what episode it is though. It's season 11 of the head coach with Gladbach. We were playing Bayern Munich and my goalkeeper did something ridiculous. It was the clip actually that was used in a creator showcase on the Custard Profits channel. But yeah, it was either season 12 episode 2 or 3 where we played Bayern. It was definitely in that one. It was just a bizarre moment with the keeper. I couldn't even begin to explain it. Let's see where Wrexham are. That was the last question, wasn't it? 15th in League 2. So it looks like after winning the National League, I mean it took a long time, another 4 years to get out of the conference. But you've had 5 years there. Very solid. 1 year where you were chasing the playoffs, but 5 solid years in the Football League. So it looks like Wrexham are doing alright. Just seeing if there's any players I recognise from the head coach story. as we've gone through the years, but it doesn't look like it. So to finish off, we'll have a look at the competitions. We obviously did a transfer roundup just a few minutes ago, but you can catch up with that in the replay too. Thank you to everyone who's joined along this morning as we're in 6th place, awaiting to find out who we will have in the FA Cup. That will be a shock. That will be the surprise for the start of the next episode, as we then face Wolves and go into a massive run-in. I've got the whole week off work, so we might even do a bonus stream next week, but at the very least we'll do a slightly longer one on the Tuesday. Thank you so much to everyone for coming along this morning again. I do appreciate all of your support. Let me finish off on the table so you can see where the stats are in the league. Thank you for spending your Tuesday morning this way again. I would hire you at Wrexham if I could. And thank you for everyone who's put a thumbs up on it, watched, got involved in the chat, and subscribed to the channel for regular content. We'll be back at 4:30 with a head coach with Gladbach, a massive Champions League tie in that one. Our first year in Europe in that series, and it's going to be a very big day. Dawkins back tomorrow. We've got our end of season review, and then another crazy transfer special on Friday. They're all coming round thick and fast. So thank you so much for joining this morning. Thank you for spending your morning with me. And hopefully I'll see you next week at the same time. I'll be back at 10 AM next Tuesday.